you check the children?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Marcia Parker.
Robert the Wolfman.
And you got Jaime and Fuego here, and we are stoked to be bringing you a brand new movie review, something exclusively available only in theaters, and we be talking the newest from Robert Eggers, the Viking Lion King, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
The Northman.
Yes.
So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I loved Robert Eggers' first movie, The Witch. Second one, The Lighthouse, I was a little more ho-hum on that, but this is probably his most mainstream effort, I would say, as far as, like, familiar storytelling. It's a revenge tale, but lots of star-studded, appearances in this film. Now, that doesn't mean they're in a lot of the film necessarily.
That's
No.
true. That's true.
But I mean, Nicole Kidman, Willem Dafoe, Ethan Hawke, who I didn't even recognize initially. I'm like, that's Ethan Hawke. Damn,
Yeah.
right.
No,
Doing it, man.
it's good, man.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed it.
And then Alexander
bod.
Skarsgård and Anya Taylor-Joy. So that's our younger, familiar faces and stuff. So I mean, overall impressions for me, it's a majestic-looking film. I feel like it dragged a little bit in its midsection, but it most definitely picked up the pace. And when you have like a Viking battle in front of a volcano, for God's sake, I mean, yeah, they
On
finished.
mushrooms.
It finished very strongly. So I was very impressed, and I feel like this, especially with the fascination with Vikings from those shows and stuff, I think this is going to make a lot of money at the box office, and it's going to open up more opportunities for Robert Eggers. But Marcia Parker, what were your thoughts?
Oh, so I went in not really knowing anything about what was going on, so that was fun. No, I thought it was okay, and it was beautifully shot. It was a little long, and very long in some parts, but and a little sad, but it was a good story. Like, you really felt for the characters, and you got a little bit of a love story, a little bit of a revenge story, and I do see the whole Lion King aspect in there as
Which was
well.
also like doing a Shakespeare thing, right? Is it
Yeah.
Hamlet, I want to say? Or...
Hamlet's probably correct. Everybody did a really well job. It was good. Because it was kind of slow, it did pull me out of it a little bit, but I think all of the elements were there. I don't know. I think it just needed to be a little bit faster in the momentum of it, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
I definitely connect at least on that. There were times where, like, yeah, you had it ramped up for the action, and then it wouldn't even be like a slow drop off. It would just end, and then it would
very
be
ebb and flow.
Yeah, and then it'd be a completely different pacing. And there were times so overall, I definitely enjoyed the hell out of it. Visually, it was beautiful. The story again was great. Everyone did fantastic with whether it was a large part or even the small little roles that we had some like major players in. It worked out well for the most part. It did pull you out at some times, but the visuals and everything, especially with the set design and how they set everything up, that still kept you entranced in it.
Yep.
So that was a good aspect. And especially one thing I liked is it was between moonlight or fire. That's how they illuminated everything.
Oh yeah, with the torches and a lot of those scenes, like it was all like very natural lighting as opposed to any sort of fake stuff. Because pretty much everything is outdoors or inside these small buildings.
Yeah,
that
because
are lit with
especially
torches and
when
fire.
when they're in the halls and everything like that, especially at night, all you got is just the firelight. So it shouldn't be bright. You should just have those nice dull oranges and reds. And it looks so good. Like, kudos to the production crew and the set designers.
Scout
costume
location
designers.
stuff,
Like, you guys did awesome. Like, we'll touch on all that a little bit more, but good job on you guys.
Most stuff. So we're not trying to spoil anything in this, but it is a revenge tale about a boy who grows up to be played by Alexander Skarsgård in this, and he has a love interest, and he is seeking revenge for a family member of his that has been killed, and he's all grown up, and he's kind of incognito and just very patient in the process of trying to extract his revenge, because it's a slow process in that regard, and he's kind of masquerading as a slave and so on. So, I mean, we've seen stuff like this before, but that's back to one of the only things that I will say is in some of those middle sections, that's where, as you're plotting and you're just like, you're waiting for him to really start doing some stuff. And when he does, it's captivating and it's cool and it's brutal. Definitely that.
Yeah,
Very brutal.
It's definitely they definitely had some pretty cool, if we call it like berserker scenes.
Yeah.
Like with the raiding parties and whatnot.
Although not quite as gory in that particular scene as I was expecting
No,
it to be. Lots of
not
cutaway when the actual hacking and slashing was transpiring. But then
that I wish they would have shown a little bit more and amplified a little bit.
I don't know. I thought it was extremely
Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
effective.
it was very bloody and like it was visually pleasing on that aspect. It's just again for the brutality of what the Viking raiding parties were.
Yeah. And also just the
It felt
accurate story of
brutal.
they're like primarily killing the men and then taking the women
Yep.
as their slaves, and I know
Yep.
that was
And
the
then
thing,
like,
right?
and then Marcia even brought up earlier with the whole when they were putting like a lot of the boys and the kids and everything in this building. That's what they did. They got rid of anyone they would think was would have been a defector or coming back as the revenge thing.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
Keep them from uprising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was also a lot more of a trippy tale, I think, than I was expecting as far as like I don't want to say mysticism, but like the actual Nordic religious aspect of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Since I'm not super familiar with all of that, I'm not sure how
Well,
case accurate it was or
They
anything.
were highly
Yeah.
religious, and I think that's what was really kind of cool about the movie was that it felt very real. It did
Yeah.
feel like they did a good job of balancing like the times of when this would have occurred and what the people were going through and their beliefs and how and to them, it was real. Like things would happen. It was because of fate. It was because of Odin. It was because of the gods, and they could call on them, and things would happen. And they really, that's what they believed. That's the life that they lived. And it was a simple life, but it was still like really wild.
It was a simple, but it was still
But
very brutal.
Yeah,
and
very
simple
brutal.
but true life.
Yeah, it was
Like-
brutal and hardcore, and it's something you learned at a very young age. You had to be strong, and just because you're young didn't mean you were gonna live.
Because you didn't want to be a graybeard. You wanted to die in battle.
Yep. So
which
it
is
was
something
so
mentioned
cool.
a couple times in this.
True,
It's just that's an aspect of honor is the death in battle in comparison. So
And those scenes and everything, especially for like the dream sequences and stuff like that we had.
and there's a couple tripped out
they
dream
were
sequences.
they were
that
really
you'll
they
feel
were
like you're on
really cool.
psychedelics.
Yeah, there was one scene that brought me back to many hours of Skyrim and whatnot. there was a weapon retrieval, and I'm like, I've played this before.
I've seen this.
Like, I've done this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was super cool. I don't know. I thought it was fun because it was raw and it felt like it brought you to a place in time where this could have been your everyday, which is it's brutal and it's crazy and it drags, but I guess I mean, I don't know. I didn't leave the theater going, this was the end all be all of the movie of the year, but at the same time, like I 100% respect it, and I think it is definitely one that someone should experience because it, especially if you're interested in that type of life, there's tons of,
I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
yeah.
Well, and with how critical certain reviewers have seen you be on other films, I think that's actually like pretty high praise from you to be like, this was good,
This type of film is not usually my go-to film, but
It's not mine either, actually.
I highly respect it because there's a lot of elements that could have gone really wrong, and it didn't. It's
because of the shirtless Skarsgård, huh?
I mean,
You look great, man. I'm not gonna lie. Shit.
It did help.
Okay, my only issue with that whole thing is him carrying himself over
No,
like
that
Lurch.
was
Yeah, he was
Okay.
like
I
hunched
hated that.
over like
and then
a lot
and
of
then
the
like
time.
the fake lat spread as he's walking around, he's standing there just.
Well, I understand. I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
She's like,
But-
I hear you, but I don't give a
But
However.
it makes sense because he was trying to act like he was bigger than everybody else.
Yeah.
Like the other
That's why
slaves.
he was asked if he could
He
fight
wanted to
too,
look
right?
He's
strong.
like 6'4".
But at the same time, he also needed to like bend down to them, right? He needed to lower his head
Yes
and look
and
like
no.
as not a
He-
threat.
Yeah, I get that, but
Because like in the beginning, like he was not.
even
hunched
there's
over.
times during like the battle stuff, he would hold
Yeah,
low
he was
and,
hunching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it hurt my neck looking at
Yeah, I mean, I do have some neck pain from watching that, but I understand you. I hear you. I see you. I'm sorry, I
it. He's
can't
like,
help
but
that.
I don't give a shit.
Like it was.
He
I
was
don't know.
shirtless. I don't care.
And
I
since
mean,
we've-
I wish I had that 6-pack. I mean, 10-pack or whatever it was.
Hard work, man.
Hard work.
But yeah, I mean, since we've kind of already segued into performance and stuff, I will say interesting role for Nicole Kidman without spoiling what ends up happening with her character.
Yeah.
She doesn't really get much to chew on until the third act, and that's where she really shone, in my estimation. Willem Dafoe in the few scenes we get him was good.
I really like
Anya
that
Taylor-Joy.
cameo.
I mean, she's solid in pretty much everything I've seen her in, all the way back to Edgar's first film, Die Witch, you know. So and you get to see a little booty, which is
She
nice.
was also
So, yeah.
in that was the Last Night in Soho, right? Okay.
Yep. And what, Queen's Gambit and yeah, some
Oh,
other
Queen's
stuff.
Gambit. I watched that one.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently
she's good. She's
So
good.
fun fact.
Not horror, obviously.
Fun fact that we found out earlier. Apparently Bjork's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
She was amazing.
it's, like honestly, like her, like the.
She was so good I didn't even know who she was.
Yeah. And that's a good segue into the costuming and stuff. And
Oh,
just the
yeah, it was
production.
gorgeous.
value
the
is fun
production
because
design on this
everything was
fantastic.
out of control. So impressive, man.
So
Especially in
impressive.
those tripped out sequences.
The totem carvings and everything like that for like especially in the opening scene where they were doing a ritual and he goes in this carve out
No, we're
of
jumping
Odin
around
Odin.
and everything.
wolf
Yeah,
stuff.
that was a little goofy and
A little
everything,
much, yeah.
But
I enjoyed
but
it.
it's what they did.
Yeah.
Like it was part of the ritual with for the Fenrir and shit.
Also, the set design of where he's finally just coming across that blade that had some, you know, that very special, long foretold blade.
Yeah, well,
that
that's what I was
gonna be
saying. Like the whole
instrumental
it
in
was like a Skyrim
Some-
quest.
Some random house on a mountain that's had this thing there waiting for the blade. Like, that was kind of weird. But, you know, when Odin tells you to go somewhere, you just gotta do it.
You don't question, right?
You don't
Follow
question
the
him.
ravens.
You follow the ravens. You're like, I got this. But, you know, I thought the set design was beautiful. The costumes, like everything was spot on. And it was so cold. Here it is. We're in Arizona and I'm like dying. It's so hot outside. And then I'm like, oh, it's so nice and cold and snowy. I could
And
use
green
a blanket.
too. Like some of those daytime scenes, just
Oh,
the green
man.
hillsides
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff were just beautiful.
Oh yeah,
goodness.
I wanted to hike all that. I'm like, I just want to camp here and spend time, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Enjoy
And then when
the
he's,
serenity.
when he's carrying the rocks, I mean, I could feel how heavy the rocks is. That's how good this movie did. Like, that's a good job. I'm like, man, that looks heavy. And you're, I don't know.
One thing I do appreciate is the accuracy of their blacksmithing in the scenes, especially with the making of the sword and everything. But one thing that kind of threw me off is like it being like a Damascus blade, because like they were like because they're called Oathbrook blades or whatever. But it was how that they were creating the steel blooms and whatnot, and like from what they did show, like at least the breaking out of the bloom for the bloom steel was accurate for the 3-4 seconds that we saw.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say definitely
that
nothing
was, like-
I'm well versed with.
Like,
so.
the problem is like a lot of times like with movies, like especially with blacksmithing scenes, is they do what's like called open pour castings, and that's basically they'll have like your mold of the sword, and they'll take like molten steel and fucking pour it in there. You can't fucking do that. You can't make you can't make a blade like that. They did that in Mandy, and it bothered the crap out of me. I'm like, you're pouring aluminum. Get out of here. But Mandy was not set on Earth, so they can get away with it.
Yeah, and also Mandalorian stuff was what
Exactly,
I
the
was just
Beskar.
thinking,
Like,
you know,
again,
and
that
that's what-
drove me
yeah.
bonkers. I'm like, that's not how you. That's especially with the forging the helmet stuff. I'm like, that's not really how you clean out the helmet. Stop it.
Yeah.
But no, that was always really cool.
I believe you. I can't comment.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
And also
that was always really cool to see.
Yeah, and also the sound design, man. I
Oh
mean,
my God,
this
the
film,
music
I
in
was
this.
like, I was blessed to see it in the Dolby for this early screening, and so just the rumbling in the seats and everything was so just prolific, especially with some of those like more fist pumping, like you know, like early battle scenes and stuff like that. And,
Yeah,
and the finale too, you know, and the fighting on the volcano.
the beat
that-
of the shields and the calls and the sounds and the music and
Who
and
did
just
the
the
score?
very-
Are you looking
That's
that
what
up,
I'm
Laird?
looking
Yeah,
at
'cause
right
the
now.
score was terrific
Yeah.
too.
And,
It
like, when
felt
they
like
would
it
do-
transported you right back to that time, man.
yeah, and the rituals and like when
Tribal
they did
chanty sort of stuff, and
the Viking funeral with the girl like singing and it was really well.
that was brutal.
It was pretty cool. It was cool to watch.
yeah, this was definitely a film that they spent money on.
Yeah.
Like they took the time and the attention to detail, and it felt very much like a passion project to me.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that Robert Eggers wanted to make something like this, and it doesn't hurt that Vikings are very in vogue, you know, as far as like just very general public consideration, and you know, There's the second Vikings, like a prequel show that's on Netflix now. So
And they did.
it doesn't help.
They did film it between
Doesn't hurt.
Iceland and like Ireland and some places around there.
Yeah.
So
That makes
That
sense.
was cool.
I don't know. This movie really made me miss my boys. Like throughout the
I
by
know,
the end, I was like,
I can't find who did the.
Oh, good.
Score.
Oh, good.
We'll
The
figure it
score
out
is
later.
incredibly impressive, guys.
Yeah.
That's
Either
the
way,
only conclusion that
honestly,
we
if
have
you
to-
guys are familiar with the band Tyr, it kind of sounded like them, honestly.
Is that the chanty guys from?
Yes.
Talk about, are they from Vietnam or? are
No.
they-
They're from I think it was Norway or.
No.
Iceland?
Yeah.
Yeah. The main girl, she has like the big antler headpiece and everything.
Yeah.
Like those guys are badass.
Yeah, the whole film is pretty badass.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's if you're not into like the medieval, swords, sorcery sort of
it's
stuff,
not medieval.
it's probably
it's before medieval times.
It is. Yeah. but
It's like
that,
892 CE.
Well,
Get it?
it opens at like
It's
892
892 AD or
yeah, it
something like
opens
that.
at 892, and then technically in like a time jump, the movie would be set in like 915 or something.
yeah, so
Not that far.
yeah, so this
maybe.
is pre-medieval times. You were correct, but it's that sort of like swords and sorcery
Mhm.
and
That
sort of thing.
Yeah, those are the visuals that I really definitely appreciate, and especially like again they brought in that whole thing of the mushrooms because psilocybin was a huge part of the pagan religions and things like that.
There are mushrooms ingested at one point in this
Yeah.
movie,
And I look at
Once,
there's one I don't know
twice.
like the one of them I'm like I'm pretty sure that's just a poison mushroom.
Oh, the one in the hand.
Yeah, that fat red one with
Yeah.
the white dots in it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the Mario mushroom. Like, you don't eat that.
It's all about the symbolism.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Truly.
It was death.
Symbolism.
Death. Yeah, but also too, like even like the scene of the calling upon the spirits. When like the one of the earlier village attacks with the animals, like that was really cool. It was really well done.
Yep.
Guys, go see this movie.
Yeah.
Seriously, go support this movie because at this point we just ramble on and we're probably just gonna get into spoilers stuff. And I don't wanna do
Yeah,
that.
which we don't want to do.
No.
No.
So, but,
Go watch this movie. It's
yeah.
in theaters.
Give
It's
it some
alright.
support.
Get up
Give it
off
some
the couch
support.
and do something.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Or
Solid
not.
filmmaking.
It'll
So,
be fine.
hell yeah.
Yes.
Well, we extend the grande gracias, everybody. And yes, leave us your thoughts in the comments below about what you thought of the Northman. I
Yeah,
mean, is
what'd
it a
you
little
think?
overhyped? Is it just one of the best things you've seen in years? Is it right up your alley in
Yeah.
that particular regard?
Drop
Was
a
it
comment.
just a
Hit a
good-
like.
A good time outside of your house? I don't know.
Yeah.
So yes, all the like, share, subscribe stuff. You guys know how that all goes. Yep. Subside, subscribe. Yeah. Anyway.
I
Sorry,
love
like,
some
we've gone too long. I'm
psilocybin.
coughing. All right.
All right,
But-
guys.
Right on. We always have a blast with this. Until next time, everybody. I've been Jaime Fuego.
I'm Marcia Parker.
Robert the Wolfman. Why can't we ever get this right with you, Marcia?
And until next time, Freight fans, remember, stay scared.